In recent years, there has been a shocking rumor circulating online that Changshuo Technology, a major Taiwanese manufacturing company, is planning to leave Shanghai and move its investments to India. This is a heavy blow to China's manufacturing industry, potentially causing thousands of workers to lose their jobs. For days now, workers at Changshuo Technology in Shanghai have been staging large-scale protests. On July 20th, 2024, the protests entered their third day, growing to involve thousands of people. More workers, who were tricked into signing contract changes by the company leadership, joined the protests, demanding fair compensation. Reports online suggest that Changshuo workers faced suppression, with large numbers of security personnel gathering at the staffing company's direction. Allegedly, dozens of workers have been arrested, though this has not been confirmed. A former employee, Mr. Wang, explained that the company secretly forced workers to go to the Suzhou branch for support. However, upon arrival, they were told their help was not needed, leaving them unwanted by both Suzhou and Shanghai branches, leading to forced resignations without receiving the raises they were promised. This is the main reason for the protests. Many workers have already been arrested, and Changshuo has resorted to violent measures, with auxiliary police and riot squads beating protesters before dragging them back to their vehicles. It is understood that labor agencies recruit workers for Changshuo by offering high bonuses, typically around 10,000 yuan after completing 2 or 3 months of work. According to Mr. Wang, there is now a long line of workers resigning daily, and it is rumored that Changshuo hopes for 30,000 workers to resign. Online reports claim that current and former employees' bonuses have been reduced by 10%, with many workers alleging that agencies or labor companies are cheating them, sometimes cutting bonuses in half or delaying payments indefinitely. Changshuo Technology, a subsidiary of Pegatron Corporation in Taiwan, is a major contractor for Apple in Shanghai. In February 2024, it decided to close its Shanghai factory and relocate part of its production capacity to India. At its peak, Changshuo had over 100,000 employees and 8 production lines, but now its production capacity is rapidly declining. Analysts believe that India has become Apple's new production base. Apple claims to increase its production capacity in India to 59% by 2027. In recent years, Changshuo has faced numerous challenges, such as halting recruitment in October 2023, a traditionally busy time, due to reduced orders from Apple. Large-scale resignations came as a result. Concurrently, Changshuo has been negotiating with Luxshare Precision Industry, which is interested in taking over some of Changshuo's factories. As one of the world's top 5 contract manufacturers, Changshuo primarily assembles Apple phones and laptops. Since its establishment in 2004, it has invested 12 billion yuan over 20 years, contributing about 10% of Shanghai's GDP annually and becoming a symbol of China's manufacturing industry. In fact, it's not just Apple. Other major brands like Dell, Samsung, Nike, and Adidas are also leaving mainland China and moving their factories to Southeast Asia, indicating that China's position as the world's factory is beginning to waver. Chinese manufacturing versus Indian manufacturing. India and China are both countries with populations exceeding 1 billion. India, known as the Lion, is the world's 5th largest economy, with its GDP surpassing China's in recent years, becoming a focal point for global supply chains. India is the global leader in manufacturing outsourcing, handling over half of the world's manufacturing outsourcing business. Major companies like Intel, Apple, Google, Amazon, IBM, and OpenAI outsource over half of their operations to India. This is due to 3 main factors: low labor costs, a large pool of IT talent due to India's emphasis on science and engineering education, and widespread English proficiency. India is the 2nd largest English-speaking country, with over 100 million English speakers, making it a hub for global call centers and customer service companies. This is more than China can offer in terms of development potential in this sector. Historically, India has long been a major manufacturing nation. According to United Nations data from 2019, India's manufacturing output accounted for 3.1% of the global total, ranking 5th, particularly in pharmaceuticals, automobiles, electronics, textiles, leather, and jewelry. However, compared to China's 28.7% share of global output, India still has some way to go. Nupur Nirola, an assistant professor of economics at Jindal Global University in India, analyzes that while China gained a market monopoly through low-cost, large-scale production, India is taking a different path, aiming to become a key hub in the global supply chain. Nirola points out that India's abundant cheap labor, low inflation rate, and stable political and economic environment attract foreign investment. If India can further develop infrastructure, improve labor participation, increase business convenience, accelerate wage reforms, and boost R&D spending, its overall competitiveness will rise, potentially becoming the new world factory within a decade. Chairman of the Taiwan Chamber of Commerce and CEO of Changshuo Technology Group, Ho Junxin, explains that made in India and made in China may seem similar but have very different implications. Made in China focuses on economic gains, often sacrificing quality and the environment to attract orders. In contrast, Prime Minister Modi's Made in India initiative promotes zero-defect, zero-effect products, ensuring quality and environmental sustainability. Recently, India has actively courted Taiwanese businesses, particularly in the technology sector, with a strong focus on semiconductors. Many Indian students are now studying semiconductor-related fields at Taiwan's top universities, such as National Tsinghua University and National Yangming Chiaotong University. Upon graduation, they often join major Taiwanese companies. For instance, 5 years ago, TSMC employed about 50 Indian workers. Now, that number has grown to over 120, with Indians making up nearly 30% of TSMC's foreign workforce, surpassing the number of American employees. Tsinghua University in Taiwan has the highest number of Indian students, with nearly 3,000 Indian students coming to Taiwan in recent years. The chemistry department at Tsinghua University is particularly popular among Indian students. They find Taiwanese people friendly, appreciate the high academic standards, and believe their studies in Taiwan will benefit their future careers. The chemistry track in Taiwan's universities aligns well with India's pharmaceutical industry, attracting many Indian students. Taiwan has established 9 Chinese language learning centers in India to retain these math and science talents. Taiwan has established 9 Chinese language learning centers in India to retain these math and science talents. India recognizes Taiwanese degrees, which further increases the number of Indian students coming to Taiwan. Additionally, at Taipei Business University, the ASEAN Community Program teaches Indian native languages, showing India's commitment to deepening ties with Taiwan. James Huang, chairman of the Taiwan External Trade Development Council, noted that trade conflicts between the U.S. and China have led Taiwan to increase its foreign direct investment, FDI, in India, rising to over $665 million in the 5 years leading up to 2023. This is a significant increase compared to the nearly $277 million in the 10 years from 2006 to 2017. Despite its small size, Taiwan plays a crucial role on the world stage, being home to TSMC, the world's largest advanced chip manufacturer, and the Taiwan Strait is one of the most important shipping routes globally. Although India and Taiwan do not have formal diplomatic relations, they have established close business ties. The Modi government aims to compete with China in manufacturing and seeks more investments from Taiwan, focusing mainly on mobile phone assembly and the footwear industry. In the fiscal year ending March 2024, bilateral trade between India and Taiwan amounted to $10.1 billion. It is evident that more Taiwanese companies are moving their supply chains out of China and establishing them in India. While India's economy is rising, China's economy seems to be declining. Let's compare how India's Democratic Prime Minister Modi is leading India's growth, whereas China's authoritarian leader Xi Jinping is leading China into difficulties. India, the world's largest democracy, held its 2024 general election from April 19th to June 1st. With 900 million voters, election workers had to travel across mountains and rivers, using camels and elephants to deliver ballots, setting up over 1 million polling stations, and completing the process in 7 phases over 6 weeks. The Bharatiya Janata Party narrowly won, leading to Modi's 3rd term, marking the largest election in history. Modi claims that India's global status has risen due to its growing economy and closer ties with the U.S. The intensifying tech war between the U.S. and China, along with the reorganization of global supply chains, has accelerated the implementation of the China Plus One strategy by international companies like Tesla, Boeing, and Google, showing significant interest in India. The U.S. also hopes to make India an ally against China. In contrast, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, also claims that China is the largest democracy, with elections characterized by Chinese socialism. This means candidates must pass political screenings to run for office. Movie star Jackie Chan once said that Chinese society needs control, implying that Taiwan and Hong Kong are chaotic due to too much freedom. In China, you have the right to vote if the party needs you to, but not otherwise. During Xi Jinping's third-term re-election in 2023, there were no competitors or opposition parties, only one dissenting vote to show the minimal differing opinions in China. Many Chinese people felt hopeless and fearful for the future of China under Xi's continued rule. Comparing the demographic dividends of China and India, India has a young population of 800 to 900 million. Since 1950, China has been the most populous country, but in 2023, India took over this position. Not only does India have a large population, but its median age is just over 20 years, with 40% of the population under 25, making it 10 years younger on average than China. This large young workforce will make India an undeniable force in the world. On the other hand, China faces severe aging problems, with young people facing unemployment, low birth rates, and a trend of lying flat, a term describing a lifestyle of minimalism and resistance to societal pressures. While China's young workforce has contributed significantly to its economic growth over the past decades, the aging population is becoming a burden on its social welfare system and could impact its economy. The United Nations estimates that by the middle of the century, China's median age will approach 50. When the aging trend slows down, by the year 2100, the average age will be 57. Pew Research Center analyzed data from the UN and other sources, highlighting India's significant young labor force. As developed countries worldwide face aging populations, India stands out as home to 20% of the global population under 25. India has a median age of 28. 4 out of 10 Indians are under 25. In comparison, the median age in the US is 38, and in China it is 39. India is not the youngest country globally. The youngest populations are in Africa. According to World Population Prospects data, Africa has the youngest median age at 18.8 years. Latin America has a slightly lower median age than Asia at 31 years, with Asia being at 31.9 years. North America and Europe have median ages of 38.4 and 44.2 years, respectively. According to worlddata.info, Japan has the highest median age globally at 48.6 years, followed by Germany, Italy, Hong Kong, and Greece, all with median ages over 45 years. In 2022, Taiwan's median age was 43.8 years. Regarding the rivalry between India and China, Indian Prime Minister Modi once admired China. As a business-friendly leader, he visited China multiple times to attract investment and learn from its economic transformation. He said China held a special place in his heart, and Chinese officials once cheered for him during his rise to power as a political star. However, a decade later, relations between the world's two most populous countries have nearly completely broken down. Ongoing border incursions led to a fierce conflict in 2020, risking a full-scale war. Modi, a strongman controlling every level of power in India, has expanded ties with many other countries, but struggles with a deteriorating relationship with China. Overall, India and China are vying for leadership among the so-called Global South developing countries. In 2023, India hosted the G20 summit to show its support for poorer nations, but Xi Jinping did not attend. China has been a major obstacle in India's bid for a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Since the border clash in 2020, India has increased scrutiny of Chinese companies, blocking over 300 Chinese apps, including TikTok. With the rise of the China Plus One strategy, the Indian government seeks to attract foreign investment to catch up in lagging high-tech fields like electric vehicles and semiconductors. Despite these efforts, continues to pose a threat to India. China's economy is about 5 times the size of India's, and China remains India's second-largest trading partner after the United States, with Chinese exports to India being 6 times greater than imports. China's military spending is more than triple that of India, giving China significant land, sea, and air superiority. Lastly, China aims to leverage Taiwan's semiconductor advancements for its benefit, but the relationship between Taiwan and China is likened to that of a toxic lover. Here's an online anecdote. People often boast about China's progress, but what does progress really mean? The same high-speed trains require facial recognition. Markets are patrolled by thuggish city management officials. Civil servants lack a sense of the rule of law, and internet requires a VPN to access global sites. TV is filled with dull propaganda programs, and Chinese people dare not criticize their own country, but instead criticize irrelevant external issues. China constantly tells Taiwan that it belongs to China, issuing daily threats like a possessive ex-lover. It brags about its development and progress, hoping Taiwan will return, but it ignores the real reasons for their separation. Not material wealth, but the desire for freedom and a life free from China's control. Taiwan prefers to live its own life rather than return to an abusive relationship. It seems China's future lies in aligning with rogue states, hoping to gain some benefits with such alliances.